के सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरौ कलेश विकार ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम. May there be peace.
You may have your seats. Welcome to the heartland, fellow city. Fellow city, make some noise. Our first speaker was born and bred in Charlieville. He's a son of the soil. He's no stranger to the politics. He has been a councillor for 3 terms for the electoral district of Charlieville. And he is also the mayor of the Chaguanas Borough Corporation. Without further ado, I invite on the Thursday night platform, Mayor Faaiq Mohammed.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, yeah. Ready? If you cut me, you go see blood, and if you squeeze me, you go feel the love. We are one people.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, everyone, for being present here. Thank you, UNC family. It's great to be here with so many patriots, people who love this country. However, tonight, we have to talk about something very serious, very urgent: crime. Crime is something that is plaguing this country. Let me tell you, good people here tonight, what is happening in this country is a total disgrace. It's a nightmare that the people of our nation, of this great nation that we have to endure, the hard-working citizens. We should not have to endure the struggle that we are facing with this crime situation. And under this PNM government, our country, this beautiful, strong, proud nation, is falling apart right in front of our eyes. You know how bad the crime situation is in this country? Recently, we were having a crime meeting in Pierre Road. While that meeting was going on, bandits was robbing the house right across the road. That is how serious this crime situation is. There's another instance. So if you think that story is bad, there's another instance right a stone throw away from here in Felicity. Bandits broke into a house. Not one night, not 2 nights, but 3 consecutive nights. 3 consecutive nights. That is the madness, the craziness that citizens are facing, especially within the central area. When you walk out your house, you don't feel safe. When you're lying down in your bed, thinking that you may get a peaceful night's rest, that is impossible because you have the fear that someone is going to be invading your home. Going to the parlor isn't even safe. There's a story or incident that took place. Councillor Adrian Ali will know. It's one of his former teammates. Went to the parlor to buy bread, and the guy was gunned down to buy bread. Wrong place, wrong time. He was an innocent bystander. How many times will we see gunmen striking bold and hitting the innocent, especially the children? Right in Enterprise, we had a situation, some kids, they were playing football. They were drive-by. Shots rang out. And afterwards, a young up-and-coming football star lost his life, I think at the age of 10 years or 9 years old. We are dealing with monsters. Monsters, this is what we are dealing with. They are nowhere to be safe in this country. The Prime Minister of this country rightly said, if this government cannot deal with crime, then they are part of the problem. If this government cannot deal with crime, then they are part of the problem. Who is this government? The PNM. Who is the problem? The PNM. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that we have that figured out, we need to remove them. Otherwise, if we don't, we will show that we appreciate how things are. We love, we enjoy going to sleep with fear in our hearts, waking up with anxiety. Do you know what anxiety does to a person? There's a renowned scientist conducted an experiment to explore how human psychology and health works. This experiment entailed 2 lambs. He placed both of them in similar condition, except one could see a wolf nearby in a cage, while the other could not. You know what happened to the one that could see the wolf? He grew anxious, and eventually he weakened and died. While the other lamb, who didn't see the wolf, he remained to live long and healthy. This experiment illustrated how fear and stress can impact our physical health. This is what crime is doing to our law-abiding citizens of this country. It is killing us slowly because we are living in a constant state of fear. But you have a Minister of National Security who is saying crime is not his problem. As MP Ravi just said, we should call him Minister of Insecurity. They don't care about you. When their phones are stolen, they get it back. When their bearer is stolen, they get it back. And all we get is terror, trauma, and funerals. You have a next one saying gangs are made up of good boys. You know what is a good boy? That is a person who will say no to peer pressure. They taught us this in school. And not join a gang. Who will say no to picking up a gun and pick up a book instead. Who will say no to selling drugs and sell newspapers. I have a reason why I mentioned newspapers. I went to school with a guy. He lives in extremely difficult situations. But before he came to school every morning, he sold newspapers to get by his education in school. And today I'm proud to say that person is a member of the TTPS. He showed what good men must do. Not to join a gang. It is time to get rid of the ministers who are clueless on crime. Extortion is wreaking havoc across our nation, destroying businesses, eating away at our economy and our communities. What's tragic is that this issue has been festering for years, slowly becoming the beast that we know right now. And only just recently, the government established a special unit to address extortion. This action comes far too late. It is as though intervention only happened because the situation is spiraling out of control, or simply because a general elections is near. It's never too late to fight back and take back our country from the criminal elements. But it's too late for this government, who have failed every citizen of this country at the 11th hour. Now they want to come to you with nice words, put on a cape and spandex, and try to save the day. ladies and gentlemen, they are no heroes, and as Barry said it in our meeting, they are mocking pretenders. So I'm calling on all of you to stand up. Stand up for change. Stand up against the decay, the violence, the fear. Stand up against the failure of this government. We need leadership, real action, a government that works for you. It is time to make this country safe again, make it strong again, and together we can do it. Under the leadership of Kamla Prasad Bisasa, we can. I leave you with these words, ladies and gentlemen. If there's one thing you could remember here tonight, please remember this. PNM is the problem, and UNC is the only solution. Thank you, and God bless our great nation.
Thank you, Mayor Faaiq Mohammed. Felicity, after 9 years of this PNM government, are you really better off? You've heard from Mayor Faaiq Mohammed. We have all been victims of crime in this country. Has the PNM government ever done anything to make us feel safer? No. Tell them, because you are live right now, tell them no. Give them a big no from Felicity. Our next speaker is a member of parliament for Caroni Central. He's a young man, he's an engineer, an attorney at law, and he has many other accolades under his belt. Because what you would notice in the United National Congress, we have a wonderful mixture of experience and youth. And this is one of our younger ones that we have in the parliament today, representing you all. So without further ado, I welcome MP Arnold Ram.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, for your introduction. And I say good evening, Felicity, or rather, should I say good evening to the fortress of the United National Congress, the constituency of Chaguanas West. Greetings to the Member of Parliament for Siparia, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisasa, our former and our next Prime Minister. Yes, Melvin, our mother of the nation. Greetings to my fellow parliamentarians, MPs and senators, and our national executive members. And most of all, greetings to you all, men and women of our strong party. Whether you are here with us in person, watching and listening via various social media platforms, I want to thank you for standing with us. Thank you for standing for Trinidad and Tobago against this wicked, vindictive, callous, and uncaring government led under Keith Christopher Rowley, who has led our country into a decade of destruction. I will address you this evening on the issue of education, and I will ask you now, is our education system better than it was 9 years ago? My brothers and sisters, this evening, I want to bring to your attention a very important issue which has troubled me and has troubled all parents and children of our country. In the countless failures of the Rowley PNM government, the education system has been one of the most glaring, despite this ministry receiving the lion's share of our annual budget in the amount of approximately $8 billion. Brothers and sisters, during the recently concluded budget debate, I raised two particular schools in the constituency of Caroni Central, the Purcell Government Primary School and the Palmas Government Primary. And I ask now, what does this government have against the people of Purcell? What does the Prime Minister has against the people of Purcell? And what does the Minister of Education has against the people of Purcell? You see, when the UNC left government in 2015, the Purcell Government Primary School was under construction and approximately 65% completed. Since then, school construction has been abandoned. No work at all for the construction of the school, despite an allocation in 2017 for the construction, the completion of the school. Like that VAPS, money disappeared, and just as the 3 billion has disappeared, we do not know where the money went. During the last 9 years of neglect, the children have attended a community center as their school. Many started and have now graduated with a certificate saying I've graduated from the Presal Government Primary School, and they've only attended the community center. That is what we have in Caroni Central at the Presal Government Primary School. You know, sometimes when we speak and sometimes we talk and recall our schooling days, we talk about familiar spaces and places in the school where we played and we assembled. Yet, these children will only remember a community center as being their primary school. And this is shameful. Don't you not agree? This is shameful. This is classic P&M neglect. But as if the actual neglect in providing quality education to all our children is not glaring enough, let me turn to the real issue in which I want to address you here tonight, and it has to do with another school in Presal. And that is why I started off just now about asking, what does this government have against the people of Presal? You see, the Presal Government Secondary School is now a school that has been described as a hazard and a danger to life. Now, I first raised this matter at the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament on October 17th. I want you all to remember these dates. Thursday, October 17th, I raised this issue in the Standing Finance Committee. When I told the Minister of Education that the school was shut down for 2 weeks, the Minister denied that in typical P&M style. And somebody jumped out of herself, WPC credit card Camille, jumped out of herself and said, I was misleading the Parliament. Well, on this Monday, the leader opposition's town hall meeting on education, a young and brave, courageous Form 2 student indicated to those assembled there that she has not attended school for the last 6 weeks, thereby confirming my position that the school was indeed shut down when I brought it to the attention of the Minister of Education. Brothers and sisters, this student has been seriously, and those students have been seriously disadvantaged. They now have to take a burden of their parents have a burden of additionally sending them for extra lessons. Now, brothers and sisters, as I told you, the Presal Secondary School has been deemed a health hazard and severe risk to life of students and teachers. Well, you know, I have a mailbox home, and I live in the constituency of Caroni Central. So in my mailbox, somebody dropped a number of documents which I want to share with you this evening. And the first one was dated the 27th of October 2024, wherein this is under the hand of the School Health Safety and Security Officer. And this is what they had to say in this report, addressed to the principal and others. In respect of the technology education classroom, evidence of rat droppings was seen and the bait was also tampered with. Visual arts, evidence of rat droppings was seen and bait was also tampered with. In both classrooms, there was also the presence of a decaying rat. The technical drawing room, evidence of rat droppings was seen. So when I told the Minister of Education that we had a rat and rodent problem on October 17, Thursday, October 17, the Minister denied. But let's go again. 3 days before I told the Minister that, there is a report, again addressed to the Permanent Secretary and the Principal and so forth, in which there was an assessment of the affected areas associated with the rat infestation hazard. And among those attending was an MTS engineering department who came with a contractor to walk through the areas affected by the rat infestation due to cleaning and sanitizing. Now, there are other issues at that school. In the same report, it was highlighted. The bush is overgrown on the perimeter of the school up to 6 feet. I am 5 feet 6 inches. Though that bush is higher than me. 6 feet. And you know what is the reason why some of this grass was not cut? It is said here, the handyman does not have a shoe for the past 3 months. That is P&M for you. But hold on, it gets better. I have 2 other reports from the USH Agency of Trinidad and Tobago, which I want to share with you this evening. And the first was 6 days after I raised the issue in Parliament, October 23rd, 2024. And this Occupational Safety and Health Authority Agency Health Inspector indicated and put a prohibition notice on the school. Now, time will not allow me to tell you exactly what some of the things that they inspected, but what is important, these are the words of the inspector. Given these conditions and/or unsafe practices, I am of the opinion that continuous usage of Block F1, classrooms 1 to 13 of the Presal Secondary School, without implementing a safe system of work, exposes employees, students, and support staff to an unacceptable level of risk, and without implementing corrective measures, persons can be exposed to the risk of serious bodily injury or death, which represent breaches of the OSH Act. The inspector goes on to say, I hereby prohibit the use of Block 1F with immediate effect. OSH Agency, 23rd of October. Let's go to the 28th of October, another report from the OSH Agency. And in this report, the OSH Agency found that there was a rat infestation, collapsing ceilings, lack of sanitation and maintenance, and Aedes aegypti mosquito breeding ground. A report, that same report that I have here, was submitted to the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education. And it's here the level of PNM neglect becomes very clear. The report tracked back these complaints from as early as April this year, when the rat infestation was first discovered. Brothers and sisters, the inspector's report details these serious hazards, and this is what the report said in conclusion. Such conclusions, if left unabated, predisposes the students, staff, and visitors of the school to serious risk of ill health associated with exposure to rat, droppings, and urine from falling objects and waterborne diseases. And because of these hazards, 43 students refused to work. So 43 teachers refused to work. So when teachers refused to work, you know what they did? They brought in the OSH agency inspectors. And you know what also did? This PNM, they brought in the supervisor for the district, which they call the school supervisor. And the school supervisor, I am told, is stationed at the school, and any teacher refusing to work is being told that your progression and your promotion will be affected. The teachers are working under duress at the Presal Secondary School, brothers and sisters. That is a serious issue. Do you mean to tell me that even knowing that these serious dangers are facing the teachers and students, they are required to attend classes in a facility that is deemed to be a public health risk? This is not only negligence and incompetence on the part of the Minister of Education, it is a complete and total failure. What makes the issue of wanton PNM neglect even worse is the fact that students of Form 4 and 5 were called to attend class. But I have the information with me. Tell you the mailbox big. I have the numbers that attended school from last week, Monday till today. Out of Form 4 and 5, 290 students or so, Form 4 and 5. On Monday last, 40. Tuesday, 16. Wednesday, 12. Thursday, 10. Friday, 2. From 290. This Monday, 50. Tuesday, 33. Wednesday, it's just yesterday, 40. Today, 41. The parents and teachers of the school, the parents and students of the school, they are taking corrective action and mitigation into their own hands, because the minister refuses to do any tangible repairs at this school to open back the school, which has been shut down for the last 6 weeks. The Minister of Education has used the recent media to complain about a lack of financial resources. If you cannot protect the health and safety of the children in the education system, it is not about a lack of resources, it is an incompetence and managing the resources that you have. I intend, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, to file a matter of urgent public importance tomorrow at Parliament to deal with this issue. Let me see whether the Speaker is going to approve this motion on tomorrow's order paper. Ladies and gentlemen, we also had an issue with respect to a person, a young child, taking his own life following continuous bullying at his school. The school claimed that it did not know. The ministry said it didn't know Yet, the child wrote a letter complaining about bullying, and some teachers and fellow students claim to be aware. This is what they are doing in our schools. You all remember just recently, September, you had 10 million, beating their chest that $10 million was spent on the St. George's College. Grand opening, walking with MP Saddam Hussein 2 days after, trying not to jump up in a chair because they are flooding. That is PNM. It's not their fault. Money tight. Blame whoever. It depends on the crisis. Brothers and sisters, if this government does not care about the lives of our children and the risk they face, do you really think that they could care about our children? And I ask you again, is our education system better than it was 9 years ago? You see, do you all remember that 21 children also died in the queue? That is governance PNM style. Well, if you know the posture of this prime minister is to say, who live, live, and who dead, dead. Do you expect anything else and anything better from his Minister of Education? Those are his words. Who live, live, and who dead, dead during the COVID-19 pandemic. Those are not my words. But that is the posture, the governance that they have. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the issues that are being faced in the Presal Secondary School. And it is now that we need all hands on deck as we move to defeat the PNM and return them to the benches of opposition. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to stand with UNC. I want you to stand united with our political leader. And I tell you, forward ever, backward never. Long live the United National Congress. Long live the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisa. I thank you.
Yeah, yeah, ooh, yeah. Baby, if you cut me, you will see blood, and if you squeeze me, you will feel the love.
Thank you, MP Arnold Ram. Our next speaker has a BSc in Electrical and Computer Engineering with a Master's in Business Administration. He was the former Deputy General Manager at PTSC, former Vice Chairman at TSTT, and he is our Education Officer of the United National Congress National Executive, the Shadow Minister of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. This gentleman has been fighting inside and out of Parliament for the farmers. Yes, farmers from right here in Felicity and Petersfield. So he is no stranger to members of Chaguanas West and especially Felicity. Please welcome to our UNC Pavement Report, MP for Couva North, Ravi Ratiram.
One nation under the law. Who feel the black? Who feel the white? I know. Who feel the right? Come and go. Who feel the too bright? Let me jump up.
Thank you very much, Alderman Marisa Ramlogan, for such kind introduction. Our honorable political leader, leader of the opposition, and the best prime minister that Trinidad and Tobago has ever had, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisa. My esteemed colleagues, fellow citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and you, the residents of Felicity and surrounding, a pleasant good night, my brothers and sisters. Tonight I begin by asking you, are you better off today than you were 10 years ago under the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisa's government? My brothers and sisters, I ask you tonight, is the agriculture sector doing better today than it was 10 years ago under the Prime Ministership of the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisa? And I hear a resounding no from our overpacked crowd here in Felicity, where all the seats are filled to capacity, overflowing, as we welcome each and every one of you to our Pavement Report. Give yourself a round of applause for this mammoth crowd gathered here tonight. My brothers and sisters, this evening I stand before you to address a critical issue that impacts each and every one of us. the relationship between agriculture and the rising cost of living in our nation. As we all know, and as we all feel it in our pockets when we visit the market or the supermarket, my brothers and sisters, the cost of living has become a pressing concern for all of us and for all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. It is a matter that pervades our daily lives, affecting our ability to feed our families, secure our homes, and plan for our future. But how do we tackle this issue head on? The answer lies in agriculture, an industry that is not just confined to farmers and fishermen, but is a vital sector for building a sustainable and prosperous future for all of us in Trinidad and Tobago. To frame our discussions tonight, let's remember our agriculture system is a cornerstone of food production, vital for reducing our alarming food import bill from $7.3 billion. Yes, to provide a variety of locally grown food and bring down the overall cost of food for families across our nation. Imagine, my brothers and sisters, imagine a future where our local farmers and fishermen can provide nutritious meals and at affordable prices, where fresh produce is readily available, and where the food we eat supports our economy rather than drawing down and draining our economy. This is achievable through sustainable farming initiatives, innovative technologies, and robust policy frameworks that support our agriculture sector. To achieve this vision, my brothers and sisters, we must make our messaging clear and concise. Agriculture is not just an industry, it is the backbone of our economy. As we move to diversify our economy here in Trinidad and Tobago, my brothers and sisters, we must put agriculture at the fore of our diversification so we can truly become an independent nation. It is only when a nation can feed itself, it is only then a nation has attained true independence. And the key to food security, my brothers and sisters, this is some of the things that agriculture represents, and a necessary strategy for reducing the cost of living. We encourage every one of you, brothers and sisters, to embrace this message. Repeat it through conversations, through social media, through community gathering. When you go by the doublesman or by the mechanic or by the barber shop or by the hairdresser, we must repeat this conversation so that we send the message across the length and breadth of our country, making sure it rings clear in the minds of all our citizens. When we reflect on the state of agriculture sector today, we must ask ourselves, is enough being done to equip our agriculture sector with the necessary tools and resources required to facilitate growth and sustainable development? Is this government empowering our farmers or fisherfolk? I ask you tonight, brothers and sisters, is this government giving our fisherfolk and our farmers the kind of support to maximize their yield? Brothers and sisters, I ask you tonight, is this government there to provide that support to our farmers, to give them the ability to get back on their feet when they are flooded out? I cannot hear you. Are they supporting our farmers? No, my brothers and sisters. The answer to these crucial questions is important because it directly ties into our ongoing dialogue about governance and the economic policies that we have today. We cannot overlook the stagnation that has plagued our agriculture sector. The planning, the vision, commitment that is needed to bolster our agriculture industry have not only been lacking, but have often been overshadowed by short-term political agenda rather than long-term strategic planning. And this is something that we know the PNM is very popular for. This is something we know the PNM is very famous for, because from day one we know the PNM have no plan. This Rowley PNM administration, brothers and sisters, came into office without a plan. They are clueless and they have operated in office as a visionless administration. That is why the suffering facing the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago is real. However, my brothers and sisters, we in the UNC, we have the necessary policies, programs, and plans because we are guided by the most compassionate, the most responsible, a visionary leader, the best Prime Minister that Trinidad and Tobago has ever had, our leader, the Honorable Kamla Persad Bissessa. What we have in the UNC that we are proud of, my brothers and sisters, is we have strong leadership. And strong leadership in this conversation has become essential because you see, brothers and sisters, it is time for a government that understands that economic policies must prioritize agriculture as a critical sector that provides jobs, nurtures local talent, and stimulate economic growth and development for all our citizens. We must pursue policies that encourage sustainable practices, diversified farming systems, and effective supply chains that connect our local farmers with consumers directly. So let us advocate together for an agriculture system where farmers are empowered and adequately supported. A system that prioritizes food quality and local production while equipping our farmers with the necessary tools to innovate and thrive in an increasing competitive market. My brothers and sisters, as we move forward, I urge each and every one of you to reflect on these points made here tonight. And I want you to remember these few points that I'm going to highlight to you. One, we must advocate for local food production and support our farmers and our fisherfolk. Two, we must engage with our community about the importance of agriculture to national development, and we must continue that conversation in every corner that we visit. And thirdly, we must challenge the status quo and demand comprehensive agricultural policy that focuses on sustainability and self-sufficiency. In closing, my brothers and sisters, I want to emphasize that agriculture is not merely about crops and about fishes. Agriculture is about livelihood. It's about our national food security and our collective well-being as a nation. It is about a vision for the future where the cost of living does not impede our quality of lives, but it enhances our quality of lives, my brothers and sisters. So together, let us work towards a stronger, more resilient agriculture sector, one that nourishes both our people and our economy. And I say to you tonight, together, let us stand hand in hand to build a better Trinidad and Tobago for all of us and for the future generations to come. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Long live the United National Congress. Long live our political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad-Visesa, and long live you, the beautiful people of Philly City and surroundings. I thank you.
You go see blood, and if you squeeze me, you go feel the love. We are one people under the sun.
Thank you, MP Ravi Ratiram. We move on to our next speaker. He has been a dentist for over 20 years, and he's soon to be called to the bar as an attorney at law. Our Shadow Minister of Health and Sustainable Development. Please welcome to our UNC Pavement Report, Member of Parliament for Caroni East, Dr. Rishi Seecharan.
But you expect tomorrow night to feel the wrong, who feel the right, come and go. And all who feel it too bright, let me jump up the same way, let me wake up the same way.
Good night, Felicity. My political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad-Visesa, Senior Counsel, and in 2025, she will return as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I'd like to tell you all, I got the message that the leader is looking on, and she's very, very pleased with the crowd that we have here tonight in Felicity. Members of Parliament, senators, local government representatives, activists, foot soldiers, those viewing at home and abroad, and to the hundreds at the junction of Pierre Road and Kakande Road, welcome to the Pavement Report. My friends, tonight we will speak about a failed ministry under a failed minister, none other than Terence Dialsing. The truth be told, chaos reigns across all ministries currently in Trinidad and Tobago. But our healthcare, the healthcare of our citizens is in shambles. And it's not the UNC saying so. It's doctors, nurses, patients, newspaper reports, as well as parliamentary reports. And we don't know, in truth, where the money is going. Hospitals are lacking critical drugs. Surgical procedures are taking more than 2 years for patients to receive. And some patients in outpatient clinics have to go as early as 4 a.m. in the morning just to see the doctor if the doctor is there. Just recently, one of the executive members of the Caroni East Executive was diagnosed with blockages and underwent bypass surgery just this morning. And he was faced with a choice to wait 18 months in the public healthcare sector to get his bypass surgery, during which time he could pass or pay privately, So he had to do so. He had to pay privately or die. And thankfully, to the Lord, he had his surgery this morning and all is well thus far. My friends, public healthcare is broken and it will take Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Visesa to fix it. My friends, the government has wasted billions in health. COVID-19 was a feeding frenzy, if you remember what happened then. Infrastructure projects during this government are all over budget. And we need to have forensic financial audits of all of these projects. Cost overruns over the last 9 years are over 1 billion TT dollars. The Arima Hospital is over by $450 million. The Point Fortin Hospital is over budget by over $200 million. The Sandy Grande Hospital is over budget by $250 million. And the Port of Spain Central Block, which isn't finished as yet, is over budget by at least $167 million. And then in the Ministry of Health, as well as in UDCOT, we have projects that are of no value to patients. They built a car park at the San Fernando General Hospital for $132 million. That was $15 million over budget. As well as if you go around the Savannah and Port of Spain, they built the Ministry of Health Administration building for $280 million. When we finally pay off for that building, we would pay over $200 million in interest, right? So let me give you some details about the San Fernando General Hospital Parkade. In 2020, it was stated that it would be built for 8 levels at $118 million. In 2023, like magic, it became 9 levels, 9 stories at $132 million. Over the period of COVID, it gained a story. The Southwest Regional Authority chairman at the time said that was a step in the right direction. And as I said in the budget, it's a step in the right direction for P&M financiers. My friends, the Ministry of Health Administrative Building, the initial cost was $280 million. Over the next 15 years, the government of Trinidad and Tobago will pay 30 million TT a year at an estimated cost of $480 million for Indarsingh to sit down in that building, right? And are we better off than we were 9 years ago? Are we? Right? The Trinidad Express of the 21st of March 2024, the headline was "Patients Pay Privately or Die." And we have found that to be true. In a joint select committee recently, we were told that there are antiquated drugs and inefficiencies plaguing cancer care. And at this meeting, a very patriotic doctor, the head of the Trinidad and Tobago Cancer Society, Dr. LeBlanc, said that cancer patients are getting antiquated drugs, if any at all. The specialist oncologist at the St. James Medical Complex does not have enough resources to treat breast and prostate cancer, which are the #1 female cancer and the #1 male cancer. Patients must pay privately or die. But after 6 months of the Joint Select Committee, we found that what Dr. Asante LeBlanc said was true. This is a newspaper report of October 2024. Cancer patients wait in vain for chemotherapy. We then go to the 29th of October 2024. Mr. Minister, please fix the chemo machine. And if we go to the 31st of October 2024, patients not getting chemo on a timely basis. So my friends, as you know, chemotherapy is a therapy for persons with cancer. And these patients are in a critically and clinically sensitive state. And how much longer as citizens must we take this? The St. James Cancer Center was unable for months to provide chemotherapy for those diagnosed with cancer. The P&M government has compromised public health care in the system. When doses are missed, the cycle must restart and the cancer is growing in these patients. They are there in Parliament boasting that this country has first world country healthcare. That is a blatant lie. We are worse off than Haiti. There is no relief for cancer patients at the St. James Medical Complex. And the Northwest Regional Health Authority wants to blame it on a filter for a machine. That is negligence at its best. Could we not have bought a spare filter before that filter went down? 6 months cancer patients must wait to have chemotherapy while the cancer is growing in their body. This is akin to medical torture. Citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and residents of Felicity, take note. Patients have to go privately or die. This never happened under the tenure of Kamla Persad-Bissessar, and it will never happen when she returns as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar will fix it. She will give the doctors what they need to do their job. Make modern oncology drugs available to the doctors. Put all cancer clinics on extended hours so more patients could be seen every day, as well as we will conduct an audit of all cancer equipment and make sure they are working. And the same goes for those that are suffering from renal issues, being renal dialysis. The government is unable to see patients that are suffering from kidney issues in Trinidad and Tobago. There's something called the External Patient Assistance Program, and that was started under the partnership government and Kamla Persad-Bissessar. In 2014, the state paid $10 million for patients in the public healthcare sector to get dialysis in private clinics. $10 million in 2014. In 2016, the PNM paid $15 million. In 2022, they paid $90 million. In 2023, they paid $160 million. And in 2024, they paid $150 million for 1,200 patients at 12 private clinics in Trinidad and Tobago. And when I asked the minister during the budget to give us the names of these private clinics and how much each clinic was paid, he never responded. So despite millions being paid for dialysis equipment at Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, at the Point Fortin Hospital, at the Couva Hospital, at the Port of Spain General Hospital, almost every single kidney patient must go privately to get dialysis. Does that make sense? My friends, the government has built white elephants in these hospitals around Trinidad and Tobago. They are just for show. Patients have to go to a private clinic and the government must pay these clinics $0.4 billion from state resources just to get for patients to be dialyzed. My friends, I would like to remind you, we paid $1.6 billion for the Arima Hospital, $1.26 billion for the Point Fortin Hospital, $1.1 billion for the Sandy Grande Hospital, and thus far we have paid $1.26 billion TT dollars for the Port of Spain Central Block. But Prime Minister Kamala Prasad will fix it, and she will build state-of-the-art dialysis clinics in every single state hospital in Trinidad and Tobago. We will run them on extended hours, and we will dialyze patients in our state hospitals. As well as my leader has stated, she intends to expand the Couva Hospital and make it the Couva Medical Complex. And at that medical complex, we will build the National Dialysis Center, a center of learning and a center of excellence. And it gets even worse. It gets even worse when you go to cancer patients. The number one cause of death, medical death in Trinidad and Tobago, is cardiac disease. 106 persons out of every 100,000 persons in Trinidad and Tobago dies of heart failure. And years upon years, we have been making appeals for a cardiac cath lab at the Southwest Regional Health Authority. And my friends, as I told you, my friend, my very great friend, who is on the executive of the Carinese executive, he had to go privately in order to pay for his cardiac surgery. And this cardiac clinic was promised to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago since 2020. And prominent doctors, Dr. Anand Chattergoon, Dr. Ronald Henry, Dr. Pravin Ramuta are on record of saying it would save lives. In the San Fernando area, the Southwest Regional Health Authority looks after over 600,000 citizens. If you get a heart attack in South, you literally have to go Mount Hope or in the West in order to get stented. In first world countries, if you're suffering from a heart attack and you go to the hospital, as you enter the hospital, they stent you right away and they save your life. That doesn't happen in Trinidad and Tobago. And this cardiac clinic was promised since 2020. My friends, Prime Minister Kamala Prasad will fix it, and she will build the National Cardiac Center at the Couva Medical Complex, a state-of-the-art facility in which we'll be able to do angiograms, PCIs, as well as bypass surgeries almost immediately as the patient requires it. My friends, then we have CDAP. Some of you here may be actually on CDAP and would understand what I'm saying. Over 265,000 persons access CDAP yearly in Trinidad and Tobago. And this program has the most complaints of any program in the healthcare sector. In November 2023, the Trinidad News reported that the public healthcare system was slammed at another Joint Select Committee meeting, in which those that attended said there were long waiting times and the inability to access drugs. The Trinidad Express called it horrors in the healthcare. There are complaints that persons are getting incorrect prescriptions when they access their CDAP drugs. There are no drugs available in some cases, and in many cases, in most cases, patients must pay privately. I have recommended through consultation with many consultants to my political leader and the next Prime Minister that we will update the CDAP listing in Trinidad and Tobago. And we will put more effective drugs on the listing. So no longer you have to go and buy the more expensive drugs when you become tolerant to the metformin and whatnot. We will add drugs such as Brilinta, Vimada, Concor, Jardiance, Farxiga, more effective modern drugs to combat issues such as diabetes and heart disease in Trinidad and Tobago. And my friend's Prime Minister, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, will also build a national laboratory center at the expanded Kuva complex, in which we'll be able to test the efficacy of these drugs, as well as to identify counterfeit medication that may be available in Trinidad and Tobago. So my friends' clinics are overwhelmed. Patients at the ophthalmology outpatient clinic in St. James, elderly patients have to line up from 4 a.m. in the morning in order to access the clinic. And this is the indignity that some patients have to undergo. Elderly patients with no access to the compound, no access to the washroom, open at night to the criminal elements. So my friends, as time is running out on me, I'd like to explain that we will also like to treat with dengue, and we will build up the insect vector control division of the Ministry of Health in order to combat dengue more effectively in Trinidad and Tobago, and issues that MP Arnold Ram said that he faces in currently central, as well as many central and southern constituencies. So my friends, in closing, my leader has decades of experience to address the collapse of our nation. This includes crime fighting, local government, law, public policy, social work, finance, energy, youth development, education, labor, and the health sector. I wish to remind you all that the quality of our lives was much, much better under Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Caroni East stands firmly with our leader. Keep flying the flag of the United National Congress and rallying around our leader, Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, look how high the crime rate is in the country now, boy. Faaiq, come down. Inwood, come down. UNC, in town.
Thank you, MP Seecharan. We move on to our next speaker. At the age of 22, this young lady made a life-changing decision to enter the field of politics with victory. Having been elected as your local government representative and councillor for the electoral district of Kunupia, she ascended her third term in office. She became the mayor for the borough of Chaguanas. She now sits in the House of Representatives as a proud lobbyist and voice for the people she serves and grew up with. She is a passionate advocate for social and humanitarian issues, including gender equality and women's rights. She's our Shadow Minister of Social Development. Please welcome to our UNC platform, and no stranger to Felicity, MP for Chaguanas Seesaw, original homegirl, Vandana Mohit.
Good evening, UNC family, UNC soldiers, our honorable political leader, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, who is viewing live online, and she's very pleased to see so many of you out in your numbers. She has sent her love to you, all of our soldiers. She said to remind you that you give us our strength to fight. So keep it up and continue to come out in your numbers. To my colleagues, MPs, senators, councillors, aldermen, good evening. This evening you have come out in your numbers here, so we can say we are ready for our fight in 2025, the next general election. We are in Felicity. We are in central Trinidad. We can say here tonight that we are ready to bring home Chaguanas West. We are ready to bring home Couva North, Couva South, Pointe-à-Pied, Tabaquite, and of course we are ready to bring home Shogunas East. Tonight, as I stand on this podium, my friends, we meet. We're leaving out that tonight. We're focusing on good things. Tonight, as I stand on this podium, we meet under serious and challenging circumstances that I know negatively impact on your everyday lives, which each and every one of you can feel in your wallets. You can feel it in your purses and your handbags. The cost of living in our country has skyrocketed, and the impact on ordinary citizens, especially the poor and vulnerable, has been nothing short of devastating. At this given moment, can any one of us honestly believe that we are happy in this country, Trinidad and Tobago? Can we believe we are happy when families are consistently at risk of eviction due to their inability to meet rental payments? Can we believe we are happy when pensioners and the medically challenged cannot access a nourishing meal? Can we believe that we are happy in this country when the old and infirmed cannot purchase their prescribed medical supplies? When single mothers are unable to purchase baby formula? When most children today are attending school without sound nutritional meals and cannot access the school feeding program? We cannot say we are happy, my friends. Yet this current PNM administration seems more concerned with empty promises to you, our citizens, and excuses and no solutions to your everyday problems. Every day I hear stories from people in our community, hardworking families, elderly folks on fixed pensions, and young people looking to build their futures who are feeling the pinch. Prices on basic food items keep rising. I'm sure you are experiencing that. When you look at the newspapers, sometimes you have to wonder if the government members read the newspaper or look at the news. The news is telling it every day, the views of the people. Articles saying fighting to survive high food prices, cost of living hitting new highs, ease cost of living. Citizens are pleading, ease cost of living. The cost of living, my friends, it is just simply too high for all of us. Even those who can afford are complaining each and every day. So imagine the poor and vulnerable. Rent is through the roof. You agree with me? Even the cost of transport, school supplies, and medicines have gone up. Yet what has the government done to help you? They have tightened the knot with taxes, with cuts in various programs, and ignored pleas for increased support in key areas. Budget after budget ignoring the pleas of the citizens of the country. And let's talk about social services policies that this government has pushed. Every time they would stand up and boast about what they have done for social services, we have to wonder, who are they really helping? Because from where I am standing, it's certainly not the people in this community or any other community or the country at large who are receiving help. Take their promises for grants, which they are claiming and that they are helping the needy. But when people apply, they get a runaround. Many of you would know that. Some persons have to go 5 and 6 times to the offices before they could get any answers, the social services offices. We've got people in Shogunas East, including pensioners, single mothers waiting for years to see a single dollar from grants. My friends, the UNC under our former Prime Minister showed Trinidad and Tobago what real, compassionate, and effective social services look like. We didn't just talk, we acted. We created systems to put food on your tables. We supported single mothers through vulnerable in this country. Every person in this country was given the respect and help in which they deserve. My friends, let us not forget this PNM promised to make your life easier. To date, your life is not easier. They are more interested in making friends comfortable and cozy, whilst you, the citizens, suffer. And when we question them on their so-called social safety net, they tend to brush it off. Typical PNM style. Not working for the citizens. I want you to remember under the UNC administration, we didn't just think about who we could help. We made sure that the programs like the food card reached those who genuinely needed it. Do you remember that? And speaking about the food card, whilst on the topic of food cards, we, the UNC, we are a proactive bunch of representatives. Our political leader ensures that each person take their shadow portfolio seriously. Over the years gone by, we would have been writing to the Minister of Social Development prior to Christmas to ensure that constituencies receive the Christmas food cards. Via letter on the 4th of November 2024, I would have written to the Minister of Social Development, Donna Cox, asking for the provision of Christmas food support to needy families in 2024. And I read for you. As per usual, enquiries and solicitations are being advanced on behalf of all members of Parliament within the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago who would surely be welcoming this facility. Strong consideration should be afforded to increasing this one-off undertaking by committing to at least 300 Christmas food cards for each constituency. So today, as you all know, MPs would receive 200 Christmas food cards to assist the needy. Today, we make that call to the government, to the Minister of Social Development, given the current cost of living, the high cost of living, and the current situation with citizens in this country, we are asking for an increase by 100 Christmas food cards, so each constituency will receive 300 Christmas food cards to help the poor and needy in this country. So friends, with that being said, I want to remind you that we ensured schools were given tools to feed and support students. We did not create obstacles for our citizens. We made life easier for our citizens. We made life affordable for our citizens. I want to remind you that there is hope. Sooner or later, the Prime Minister must announce the date of the general election, and you, the people, would have the opportunity to resoundingly reject the PNM and elect a truly empathetic UNC administration. And such an administration would immediately set about to restore your living comfort and dignity by instituting people-centered measures to ease your present difficulties. I say to you, holy faith, stand strong. Do not give up the fight. Stand with us and let us continue this battle into a victorious 2025 and head into government. Long live the United National Congress. Long live my colleagues. May God bless them and give them the strength. And long live our political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa. I thank you.
Thank you, MP Vandana Mohit. This gentleman has previously served under our former UNC government as a Minister of State in key ministries, namely Ministry of Works and Transport, Ministry of Labor and Small and Micro Enterprise Development, and Ministry of Local Government. He was a recipient of the Shakonia Medal of the Order of the Trinity for his contribution to trade unionism. He is now your member for Parliament for Cooper South. Please welcome to our UNC Pavement report live from Felicity, a fighter for the trade unions of this country, the Honorable Rujanat Indarsingh.
Thank you very much. Kakandi Road, Piero Junction, soldiers of the United National Congress, you have assembled here in your hundreds, and could you send a loud and resounding message to our Brigadier General, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, who is viewing that you are indeed prepared to take her back into government as the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Tonight, I want to take the opportunity to pay my deepest sense of tribute to all of you who have assembled here at Kakandi Road, Piero Junction. Pay tribute to your years of loyalty, your blood, sweat, and tears for being the backbone of the United National Congress and for standing with our political leader on the road to regain the government of Trinidad and Tobago and rescue Trinidad from this treacherous, from this deceitful, from this oppressive, from this wicked and evil government led by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. Tonight, I join with the rest of my colleagues on this platform in asking the hundreds and thousands of workers who are viewing, who are a fundamental part of the working class, the middle class, the backbone of our country. Are you better off today? Have your standard of living, have your quality of life, your ability to put food on the table, to buy books, to buy uniform, to buy tablets for your health care? Are you better off today under Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, or were you better off under the leadership of Kamla Prasad Bisesa? Tell me, were you better off under Kamla Prasad Bisesa as your Prime Minister? And that is the fundamental question that you must be prepared to answer as we are on the road to a general elections. Are you prepared to put back the UNC to be the government of Trinidad and Tobago? The writing is on the wall, my brothers and sisters of Felicity and environs. Your economy is in a state of shambles. Where is the diversification? Where is the growth of the economy? Where is the job creation that they promised you? How much jobs have they created in the last 10 years? In fact, the records will reflect that 120,000 plus persons have lost their jobs because of the mismanagement of the economy of this country, and primarily the mismanagement of the energy sector of Trinidad and Tobago. You cannot get a $200 to travel in foreign exchange. In fact, we have been reduced to a self-imposed travel ban in this country. A self-imposed travel ban, because what can you do when your credit card limit is down to $2,000 if you want to travel and plan a vacation for your loved ones? This is the state of our affairs. This is the state of Trinidad and Tobago. And this is what Rowley and his incompetent bunch has done to the paradise that is known as Trinidad and Tobago in a mere 9+ years. My brothers and sisters, a general elections is in the air, and they will come to you in Felicity and environs. In fact, I am told some of them are coming and they are begging and they are pleading for invitations in Felicity and environs. And you must expose their lies. You must expose their deceit. You must expose their mama guy when they come to you. And tonight, I want to remind you, because there was a former Minister of Labor, I do not know how much of you can remember her, by the name of Jennifer Baptiste Primus. I do not want to mispronounce her surname tonight, but you must remember Jennifer Baptiste Primus. The only thing that I could remember of her is her saying Schellenberger in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago and promising to make outside of Whitehall hotter than a chulha. But when ArcelorMittal and Centrin was closed down, Jennifer Baptiste told the country, she told retrenched workers that they will create a national employment register. She promised retrenched workers to drive long-haulage trucks in Canada. Can you recall? She promised to give retrenched workers dual citizenship without even having the government collaborate or consult with the ministry, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, my brothers and sisters. And tonight, Trinidad is in crisis. You would have heard from all the previous speakers. Education is in crisis. Health is in crisis. The social services is in crisis. Agriculture is in crisis. And tonight, I want to tell you that we have an industrial relations crisis in Trinidad and Tobago. The port of Scarborough, the port of Port of Spain has collapsed under Rohan Sinanan. TN Tech, after 9+ years, TN Tech negotiations cannot get off the ground. In fact, the Minister of Public Utilities, a fellow by the name of Marvin Gonzalez, who promising you water by the end of 2025. Under him, if rain falling in the wet season or rain falling in the dry season, you cannot get water under incompetent Marvin Gonzalez. That is the reality of Trinidad and Tobago. And after 9 years, they cannot provide a mandate to the board and management of TNTech because Rowley and Imbert have hijacked the collective bargaining process in Trinidad and Tobago. And we have to ask ourselves the question here tonight. Why will not a government, want a stable industrial relations environment at the ports, which is of a key component to the development of business and the prosperity of businesses at a time when Christmas is on the horizon. Why would not a government want a stable industrial relations environment at TNTech, which is of key to the prosperity of businesses and bringing light into your respective homes? I want to tell you, is the government facilitating an unstable industrial relation environment at the port of Port of Spain and Scarborough and at TNTech because they want to create an environment similar to what they did at Petrotrin? They want to create this narrative that the workers of TNTech and at the ports are not productive and they are not working in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago. They are setting up the workers to privatize the ports of Port of Spain, the Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, and to privatize the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission. So tonight on the Pavement Report, the United National Congress is prepared and will continue to expose the propaganda, the deceit, and the lies of Rowley. And we are telling you the truth in terms of what they want to do, my brothers and sisters. And you must never forget that under the difference between the UNC and the difference between the PNM, under Kamla Persad Bisesa and the partnership government, when she was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, workers never had it so good. Trade unions never had it so good. And one of the best or stable periods of industrial relations environment was under Kamla Persad Bisesa. We settled 135 negotiations. She found $5 billion to honor back pay payments. She created 56,000 jobs because that was her vision, my brothers and sisters. And I am telling you, based on the programs, based on the policies which are being rolled out by her, in her plans for a next 5 years, in her plans for a future UNC government, she has already signaled that we will create another 50,000+ jobs and we will settle all the outstanding negotiation when we return to the government of Trinidad and Tobago. In 9+ years, Rowley and McClatchy cannot report to the citizenry of the country in terms of how many negotiations they have settled on behalf of the working class, on behalf of the middle class of this country. They have destroyed, they have decimated, and they continue to declare war on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I now turn my attention to the crumbling infrastructure under a fella called Rohan Sinanan. And under Rohan Sinanan, we have heard of disasters and natural disaster. Well, I want to tell you here tonight in Felicity that the first unnatural disaster I have heard of is by a fella called Rohan Sinanan, who is in charge of the Ministry of Works and Transport. And if you want to be reminded of this unnatural disaster that is heading the ministry, today our headlines: flood stress in Pinal, flood headache, flooding SOS, and we could go on and on, my brothers and sisters. Everything has crumbled under unnatural disaster Rohan Sinanan, whether it's the ports, whether it is the sea bridge, whether it is the air bridge. And we must never forget, when you go to the polls, never forget the traffic jams, never forget the pain and the trauma, the loss of productivity that you have suffered as a result of the highway, the widening of the highway between Shagwaras and Chase Village. Never forget the widening, what it has caused. In fact, I think we are on the road to create a world record in terms of how long it is lasting to widen that portion of the highway. And the crumbling infrastructure continues. You know, Vandana Mohit, the MP, could tell you about the Bridal Road Bridge. Ravi Ratiram, my colleague, could tell you about the Perseverance Bridge. In fact, when they opened those bridges and they cut the ribbon, they had to close those two bridges within 24 hours. That is the track record of the fella they call this unnatural disaster called Rohan Sinanan. And his sidekick, a fella called Rishi Sukai, my brothers and sisters. And in 9+ years, imagine the solution that they could provide for you to use the Perseverance Bridge is a barrier. A barrier. An 8-feet barrier. That is the solution to your traffic woes and your crumbling infrastructure in 9+ years, my brothers and sisters. And how can we forget the Mosquito Crack or the Mosquito Creek collapse under Rohan Sinanan? These are things you must remember when you are called to go to the polls and make that important decision. Because under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, infrastructural development was unparalleled and unprecedented. Remember the Kuva Prisal interchange. Remember the highway to Degomartin Highway. Remember the Point Fortin Highway. Remember the Valencia Bypass Road. And I could go on and on here tonight, my brothers and sisters. Tonight, Trinidad is in a state of crisis. Crime is hurdling and murders is nearing 600. Your healthcare has collapsed. Your economy has collapsed. Imagine this is the way now Wassa is fixing pipelines. They are plugging holes with pieces of wood in 2024. That is what is happening under the government of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. The time has arrived in our political journey. The juncture is near, and whenever the elections are called, you will never take out God of your thoughts and vote the People's National Movement. You must remember how they have destroyed your lives. You must remember how the infrastructure has crumbled. You must remember how your standard of living has collapsed. And most importantly, they have made you prisoners in your homes, in Felicity and environs. So I call upon you to begin this illustrious journey with our leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, as we traverse every length and breadth, every nook and cranny, as we expose their lies, their deceit and mamagai, and begin to return Trinidad and Tobago to good governance, tried and tested leadership under the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Long live you, the people of Felicity. Long live the United National Congress. Long live our political leader. Forward ever, backward ever, and on to a resounding victory in the general elections whenever Dr. Rowley calls. We are prepared for battle. I thank you.
Look how high the crime rate is in the country now. Faaiq, come down, come down. Come down, come down. UNC.
Thank you, MP Indarsingh. We have reached our final speaker for the night. We saved the best for last. This gentleman previously worked at the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago for 15 years, and then as CEO of a large international shipping conglomerate. As a self-made, successful businessman, he also served as a board member of the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association. As chairman of MIC under our People's Partnership government, he played a key role in expanding the technical and vocational skills training across Trinidad and Tobago. With a track record of leadership, service to country, and youth development, he gave himself to the people of Pointe-à-Pierre. Our deputy political leader of the United National Congress and opposition chief whip, please welcome to Felicity the original dragon, Dr. David Lee.
Thank you. Good night. Seecharan to everyone. Assalamu alaikum. After listening to MP Indarsingh, I think we need to go home now. We have nothing else to say. He has said it all. And he has spoken the truth here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But I have a few things to say before we end here tonight. And I wanna give a big up to my family from Pointe-à-Pierre who have journeyed all the way from Pointe-à-Pierre to be here tonight. And so many of us from all over, I see Rio Claro and all over from the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. And I feel honored to be standing here in Kakandi Junction. I feel as if I have arrived in the United National Congress. So I thank you. I thank you. Tonight, as we journey on this pavement with you, our Felicity members, and on the roadside, we are making our way to the Whitehall to save this nation. We heard from MP Indarsingh. We have a foreign exchange crisis. We have a flooding crisis down in South. We have an extortion crisis when you heard from the mayor, Faaiq. We have a port crisis. We have a business crisis, and we have a Rowley crisis in our country. So it is time to get rid of Rowley and that incompetent bunch of people. As this country faces the darkest day it has ever faced in terms of its economy, national security, and social safety net, the biggest danger facing our nation is that this government has all but collapsed, existing on life support as they are unable to solve any of our problems in our country. This government, as I said, is on life support and fading away rapidly, and it cannot offer any services to our country called Trinidad and Tobago. In the space of 1 week, and I know she was here, Senator Jayanti spoke about it, the Privy Council and the Auditor General report, and the IMF have demonstrated why this government has lost its way intellectually, politically, and morally. Young and Imbert. They shut down the Petrotrin refinery, and that was one of the greatest reasons why we have problems in our foreign exchange crisis today. The reality is the country's economic decline has been caused by Minister Young, as I said. The confused state of affairs as if he was the Minister of Energy of Venezuela or the Minister of Energy of Trinidad and Tobago. He's confused. He don't know which one. The central bank told us in July that less foreign exchange entered the economy due to energy companies reducing their local exchange. That means that energy companies have been losing interest in our nation. And you see it, all our service suppliers and foreign companies are moving to Guyana. That means we are earning less energy revenue on foreign exchange because the Minister of Energy has only been concerned about Dragon, Maduro, and that cross-border gas. Now, the Minister Young, a couple of months ago, made a statement, I think on a political platform. He said, I want to tell Lee that he cannot, this was before Trump won, I want to tell Lee, I wonder if he can go to the White House in Washington, or if he can go to the equivalent White House in Venezuela. I want to tell Young and Rowley, after that win by Trump, I wonder if they could go to the White House in Washington. I think I might reach there faster. Or Barry can reach there faster than them, my brothers and sisters. So, as I said, we will get there, my brothers and sisters. Tonight I asked Minister Young, That boom of gas that you said was coming in 2027, is it still coming or the boom has shifted? Tonight I ask the Prime Minister, all these Congress members that you were boasting about meeting in Washington, while you said, what can Trump do we? Can you still meet with them? This government ignored our energy projects. They ignored our own fields putting their eggs in the Maduro basket. Now that an entire Congress has flipped and the presidency of the USA has changed, what is this predicament? What is their predicament? Over the years, this Prime Minister has condemned the opposition for supporting Guaido in 2018 as a form of diplomatic disrespect. Yet earlier this year, the Prime Minister referred to the solution opposition leader as the Caribbean Trump. Tonight, I ask the Prime Minister, is this the same President Trump that will now be responsible for extending the OFAC license for Dragon gas? Is this the same President Trump that you will need to work with to ensure that Shell makes the final investment decision for Dragon gas? Tonight, I call on the Prime Minister, tell us the future of that Dragon gas. Trinidad and Tobago, after 9 years, every single promise made to you by this government has been broken. In 2015, they promised a better national security. 9 years later, the murder rate is at its highest. Extortion and home invasion, which were never present in our society, has become a local pandemic. In 2015, they promised our workers prosperity. 9 years later, hundreds of thousands have lost jobs, and all you have received in 9 years is a measly 4%. In 2015, they promised you better education. 9 years later, not a new school has been built under this government. Chaos with school discipline. In 2015, they promised you more oil and gas. Today, oil is at its lowest since 1950. Gas is at its lowest in the last 20 years. The most plant closures in Point Lisas. This is a government that has a problem with honesty and delivery. Ask yourselves, where is the nation free Wi-Fi that they promised us? Where is the local government reform that they promised us? Where is the plywood factory that Rowley promised us? Where is the aluminium rim factory for diversification that Rowley promised us? Where is the Labre dry dock facility that Rowley promised us? Where is the San Fernando waterfront that he promised us? All we got is a car park, as Dr. Rishi Seecharan told us. Where is the land for our Petrotrin workers that they sent home, my brothers and sisters? Trinidad and Tobago, for 9 years you have lived with state-sanctioned lies and hardship. You deserve better. You deserve a leader who has created a workers' agenda to benefit every public sector worker. You deserve a leader who has over 60 plans to combat crime, such as stand your ground laws. You deserve a leader who has promised to open that Petrotrin refinery. You deserve a leader who has a plan to return equal opportunity for all our children of Trinidad and Tobago. You deserve a leader who will be with you in the floods as she did yesterday with Barry Padarat and Khadija Amin. That leader is only one leader, and that is Kamla Prasad Bissessa, my brothers and sisters. Tonight, we commend the strength, courage, and the people-centered vision of our leader as she continues to put our country first. Tonight, I ask you, reject this PNM government that has increased fuel prices 7 times. Reject this PNM government that will tax you from owning your own home. Reject this PNM government that has gutted our tech work programs, cut gate, and reduced our scholarship for our young men and women. Reject a government that has failed to curb food inflation. Just look at the prices in our supermarkets. Stand with a party and a leader that cares. Stand with your United National Congress and our own leader, and we will return her to be the next Prime Minister whenever that election is called, and that is Kamla Prasad Bisesa, my brothers and sisters. I thank you. I want you to reach home safe. I want to thank the Kakandi Junction, the Felicity Junction, the people of Felicity, Chaguanas West, and all my colleagues for coming out, and you, the great people who have supported our Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her team. And remember this, there's only one leader who will love you like Kamla Prasad Bisesa. I thank you and reach home safe.
The time is now, time to vote them out. But enough is enough, 5 years we had it rough. PLM is drought, they take food out we mouth.
Do you know that in 2016, 66 liters of diesel cost $100? Today, under the PNM, you get 20 liters of diesel for $100. The diesel you paid $100 for under the UNC now costs $327 under the PNM, which directly affects the cost of food, transport, and services. Guess who I'm voting for next time?